And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Hello everyone, I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist John Cowan. Thanks for joining us this afternoon for the Alaska Public Forecast. We'll take a look at a few headlines first before we get started. We have winter weather advisories across the eastern Beaufort coast. This will be for blowing snow, still some strong gusty winds lingering in that area. We have high winds diminishing across the eastern Aleutians. We formerly had some very strong winds in this area, but they will be decreasing throughout tonight, and that warning is canceled. We do have a new high wind warning out for Prince of Wales Island. This will be in effect Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. And then we do have a seasonably stormy pattern expected this weekend into next week, with colder temperatures moving in from the Arctic. Here's our hazards chart. As you can see, this is the area we have highlighted for that winter weather advisory, namely east of Dead Horse, including Kaktovik for that blowing snow. Across the southeastern Alaska, we have Prince of Wales Island that's flagged for some high winds expected Friday afternoon into Saturday morning. Here's our satellite loop. As you can see, this is the strong low that's moving from Bristol Bay into the Gulf of Alaska, moving south of Kodiak Island. Still some very strong winds in this Sand Point area to Cold Bay, but diminishing tonight. The warnings have been canceled for this area. Still some strong winds in the offshore areas. And we'll begin to see winds start to increase across the southern panhandle as the storm moves into the central Gulf of Alaska. Now as we come back west over the western Aleutians, here's our next storm system moving into the region. You can see a very long front that's going to be moving its way west to east across the Aleutians, bringing first wintry precipitation, then warm air moving up behind the front. We'll change that all back to rain. Now over the north slope, you can see plenty of clouds and unsettled weather. Nothing too impactful, however. This area is expected to stay or keep the cloud cover and the snow showers over the next couple of days. The interior, though, high pressure is kind of clearing out these conditions, helping to create some pleasant weather across interior Alaska. And now getting into our weather today again, low pressure down here. This is the storm system that's going to be driving the impactful weather across the Alaska Gulf Coast and Panhandle over the next couple of days. Our fronts coming down from the Arctic, again pulling that cold air behind them, helping to drop temperatures as we go into this weekend. And then our Bering Sea storm again with this warm front on the leading edge, bringing some warm air behind that. Now as we get into tonight, still plenty of snow showers across much of the Arctic coast and west coast, just kind of lingering, although nothing too impactful. Again, that high pressure is really going to help us clear out conditions across interior Alaska over the next couple of days. Our storm system in the Gulf of Alaska continues to deepen and get stronger. We have a series of little fronts that are going to swing across from east to west across the Gulf of Alaska, helping to support some unsettled weather across most of the coastline, including the Panhandle. Now as we get into Friday, now take a look at this, 966 millibars on this low, getting very, very strong. This is where we're going to see the winds really start to ramp up across the southern Panhandle, thus we have the high wind warning out for Friday afternoon into Saturday morning. And again, just generally unsettled weather across much of the coast. Now coming back over to the Bering, our storm system here continues to track to the east. However, things do start to slow down. Again, the front reaching about the central Aleutians with that rain coming in behind the front and the cold stuff out ahead of it. Now, as we get into Saturday, very stormy weather pattern across most of southern Alaska, as well as most of the Bering Sea. However, the northern half of the state's looking absolutely beautiful. High pressure, keeping things a little on the chilly side, seasonably cold, but otherwise very pleasant weather, sunny conditions for most of the state, with the exception of the north slope. But as we get over again towards the Gulf of Alaska, still a very stormy pattern expected to linger, although winds do start to diminish by Saturday. Let's take a look at our temperature forecast. As you can see, low temperatures bottoming out in the mid to upper 30s across most of the Panhandle and getting into the Copper River Valley, single digits to teens. Again, seasonably cold for this time of year. The Anchorage Bowl in the low to mid 20s, and then as we come down towards Kodiak Island, still staying in the 40s. And then as we get into our Friday afternoon high temperatures not really changing all that much across most of the immediate coastline. Again, those low 40s, upper 30s, and as we get into the Panhandle, getting into the mid 40s, even some upper 40s in the southern Panhandle as that storm system brings some warm air up with it. Getting into Saturday morning, our low temperature is going to bottom out in the upper 40s across the southern Panhandle. So again, a warming trend in this area. However, everywhere else going to stay in the mid 30s for the northern half of the Panhandle. Again, those single digits and teens for the Copper River Valley and some of the higher elevations here, and getting into the upper teens to low 20s for the Anchorage Bowl. Now, Saturday afternoon, temperatures are going to cool down a little bit across the portions of the western interior. Again, not really getting much above freezing for many of these areas. The Anchorage Bowl right around freezing, upper 30s for most of the immediate coastline, really keeping in with that cooling trend that we're expecting. And then over the Panhandle, the northern half of the Panhandle still in the mid 40s, and warmer conditions in the southern Panhandle. Now getting into the northern half of the state, along the immediate coastline, we're looking at temperatures really not going to be leaving the mid to upper 20s. High and low temperatures looking very, very close. Again, with the open water that we have out here, that's going to keep things mild across the immediate coast. However, as you can see, we do have some single digits, even below zero stuff out in the Brooks Range. Getting into Friday afternoon, our high temperatures top out in the single digits to teens across much of the Brooks Range. Again, 20s along the coast. Low temperatures Saturday morning, still in the 20s along the coast, again with that open water keeping things warm. However, we do start to see some even double digits below popping up across the Brooks Range. The Tanana Flats and the Yukon Flats looking to see single digits below zero, so we are trending cooler. Getting into Saturday. Saturday's high temperatures, single digits across the Brooks Range, teens for much of the interior, and then along the north slope staying in the 20s, really until we get that pack ice develop. We're not going to see temperatures really start to get that cold. Now as we get into the Bering Sea for Friday morning, you can see we have temperatures in the mid-30s across most of the Aleutian chain. The immediate coastline looking either side of freezing, maybe a little bit cooler, around 29 or so across much of the delta there. As we get into the interior, temperatures cooling rather quickly as we get farther inland. Friday afternoon, temperatures warm up to around freezing along the coastline here. The Aleutians up into the 40s, and in the central and western Aleutians pushing 50 degrees as that warm front moves its way east across the chain. Getting into Saturday morning, temperatures bottoming out in the low 40s across much of the Aleutians, getting into the 30s over the Alaska Peninsula, and then teens and even some low 20s across the immediate coastline here of the Delta. Saturday afternoon, again, warming up to around freezing, either side of freezing for the coast. 40s for much of the Aleutian chain as we get into Saturday. And then let's take a look at our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. You can see we have some warmer than average temperatures expected late in the period here. However, the main area of interest is going to be up here on the north slope where we have well above normal temperatures expected. Again, that's mainly going to be due to the fact that we don't have a really significant sea ice development yet. As soon as that happens, we'll see these temperatures cool down. But as long as we have liquid water off the coast, that's going to help keep things relatively mild. Cooler than average temperatures expected for the Panhandle. And then looking at our precipitation outlook, we have well above average precipitation expected for the lower half, a little bit above average for the northern half, and that'll about wrap up our public forecast. I'm meteorologist John Cowan. Thanks for joining us.